to another episode of the Last of Us Talk Show. I'm your host, Mikey, and today we are doing our spoiler review of Season 1, Episode 4. Please hold to my hand. And this one again was directed by Jeremy Webb. It's starring Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey. Melanie Linsky comes in as Kathleen, Jeffrey Pierce as Perry, and I didn't say it in the last episode, but I thought we should definitely shout out Juan Magana, if that's how you say his name, who played Brian in this episode. I thought that was pretty amazing acting as well, and we'll get to that when we get to that scene. But before we do that, if you are watching the YouTube version, leave a comment right now with your best puns. Obviously, this episode had a lot of great puns in it, so I want to hear all your best puns, especially if you're a parent out there. I gotta know what kind of jokes you are, assaulting your kids with as they roll their eyes. Okay. And if you're not watching the YouTube version, if you leave it in a review on whatever podcast app you're listening in, or if you email in to the Last of Us Talk Show at gmail.com, I will take any feedback, and I would be glad and happy to read some of these puns out on the next episode if you guys send them in. But let's go ahead and get into our spoiler breakdown review here. All right. We open up the episode with Ellie down in, or not, she's not down in, I guess she's just in a bathroom this time. Again, by herself away from Joel. Same thing like what we saw her with the infected, right? She's got a moment to herself and she's experimenting here. She's playing with a gun in the mirror. And again, to me, this was a clear sign because a lot of people took that scene with Ellie and the infected as it being, oh, maybe she's a little bit psychotic. Maybe she's a little bit, out there. Yeah, and maybe she is, but I don't think that's what it was with the infected. And same thing here, playing with the gun in the mirror. Look at what she's doing. She is looking at herself in the mirror. She's posing with it. She's making pew pew sounds with it. She is experimenting and imagining what it would be like to have some power in this world where again, remember, she's an orphan raised by a military fascistic group in a military school, right? As an orphan, so she's never known or had any power in this world. So I feel like that's what she's experimenting with. She's kind of like feeling excited to feel powerful and to have some power and some agency over her, over her life and her safety, which I'm sure she, up to this point, probably has never felt before. So she's playing with that, and she's obviously knows her way around it. She's probably learned this in Fedra school, right? She knows how to load it, unload it, check it, and all that. And she puts it back in her backpack. And then we skip over to a scene where Joel is siphoning gas and explains that they're going to have to stop and siphon gas from other cars about every other hour because the gas is bad, from sitting for 20 years, so it doesn't get you as far as it used to. And, again, this isn't perfect science, but that's what the TV show tells us. So I am willing to suspend my disbelief and say, okay, if that's what you're going with, that's what you're going with. That's how we're able to get these cars started. I'm fine with it. Ellie starts at this point. Because Joel tells her don't wander off, so she's like, okay, well, I'm going to sit here, and she pulls out a book of puns, volume 2, TOO, get it, 2. And she starts reading from this thing, but Joel is not amused. In fact, he tells her you can go wait in the truck. They then they get back in the uh, truck and they start driving off. And this is where Ellie finds the Hank Williams tape, and they put that in and start listening to "Alone and Forsaken" by Hank Williams, just like in the video game. And we'll get to more details that cross over when we get to the video game versus episode comparison later on this week. And then she also finds the porn magazine, right? She finds this nudity magazine, starts making jokes about it with Joel, who is clearly uncomfortable with her looking at this. She makes a joke about the pages sticking together, and then she throws it out the window. They drive for a while, it seems, and they go. It's getting late, it's getting dark, so they pull off into the woods, and then they make camp there for tonight. They're Joel says that Wyoming is about 2 days away still, so we know that they still have quite the trek in front of them. So they're camping out there that night. Of course, it's getting cold, so Ellie's like, can we have a fire? And Joel's like, no, we can't have fire. And do you know why? She guesses infected, and he says, no, infected. They're not that smart. It's not the infected that are a problem. People. Sure enough, it's people. They should be remote enough to be safe from infected, but the people are the problem. You don't want to start a fire and have smoke that people will be able to see. I should have wrote it down, but I know Ellie reads a joke here, and Joel knows it. Oh, I remember now. It's she says when they're laying here getting ready to sleep, Ellie reads them the joke that why did the Scarecrow get an award? And then Joel knows it already and says because he was outstanding in his field. And she's like, hey, you read this? And he's like, no, but I saw when when he answered this. We actually do. Everybody's going to talk about the joke later, right? And the reaction later, but I feel like already here he's starting to. We know that they've been driving together for quite some time already, so they had to have done a little bit of bonding during this drive, because at this point I see him. He gives a little smirk when he says it. He says the punchline to the joke. She laughs and makes the comment about him reading the book, in which he replies no, but as he turns back around, he kind of gives a little bit of a smirk, like he knew it was kind of funny, but he just grumpily says, like, go to sleep now. Let's see here. They wake up the next morning. Joel's making coffee, and Ellie is like, whoa, that smells bad. They get to driving, and then she comments on it again, and she's like, is that the stuff that Starbucks would sell back in the day? And he's like, yep. And she's like, it smells like burnt shit. And then he just like takes a bigger sip of it. But I thought that joke was pretty funny because that's what people say about Starbucks anyways, right? That it tastes like burnt coffee. So for her to like specifically say it smells like burnt shit, I feel like that was intentional, because I hear a lot of people. I go to Starbucks all the time, and I enjoy my Starbucks. I get at my job, I get customers who give me like Starbucks gift cards all the time, and I enjoy my Starbucks. Good enough for me. And apparently it's good enough for Joel 20 years later. But of course they're on the drive, and Ellie's young. She's got a lot of questions. Trust me, I know how this goes. I have 5 kids. You get them in the car, you go on a car ride. It's just, you're never gonna get a moment of peace or quiet during a car ride. And I know I was the same way when I would go camping with my family as a kid. Sometimes I'd go just out camping with my grandfather when he would go on trips in the summer. When my parents were at work, I would go with my grandpa camping, and they would always tell me, "Hey, Mike, it's your job to keep Grandpa awake, driving out there and driving home." And I would just talk his ear off the whole way. And now that I got kids of my own, I'm like, "Oh no, this is it'll drive you crazy, right?" So Ellie's that's what she's doing. She's asking Joel a whole lot of questions here. She's asking him a series of questions, and then she starts getting a little personal, right? So she wants to know, um, who's your brother? Is he younger? Is he older? And then, a more serious one happens. She wants to know, why isn't Joel with his brother Tommy anymore? And he's like, it's a long story. And Ellie, of course, is like, we got 25 hours left to go. So unless your story is longer than 25 hours, lay it on me. So Joel, gives in here, and he's like, okay, Tommy is what, we used to call a joiner. He joined the army straight out of high school. Got sent out for Desert Storm. That didn't actually make him feel like any kind of hero. So, but he still has that in him. That's the joiner in him. He wants to join causes to make it feel like he's part of something and that he's, doing a heroic act. So then he joins. We get the outbreak, and then he joins the Fireflies, and that's how Tommy and Joel made their way out to Boston, and that's how they met Tess. And now, they got to get to Tommy, and he's out there in Wyoming. Haven't heard from him in a while, so Joel's got to go out there and protect him because again, Joel is the protector, right? And but Joel here was also saying that the Fireflies, it was all, Tommy joined the Fireflies, it was never Joel's thing at all, because he just felt like they were trying to fight for freedom, try to searching for cures, doing all this stuff, and he just felt like this group was totally delusional. So Ellie wants to know, well, if the whole world, if you just don't have any hope in the world, what do you keep going for? And Joel says, family. I keep going for family. That's what that you always find something. For me, it's family, and that's what I keep going for. And Ellie's like, well, I'm not family, and Joel's, no, you're cargo. and that's he's that's a rude thing to say, and he says it kind of rude too. So I just really curious how Ellie took it here. Was she actually fishing for him to say, well, you're like family now, or what? But no, she doesn't get that. He confirms that yes, Ellie is cargo, but he made a promise to Tess, who was like family. So that's why he's completing the mission that Tess wanted done. They keep driving along. They come to a tunnel that is just totally blocked off, right? There's like a semi that's like jackknifed in front of it. All these other cars crashed in front of it. This would be their normal way to go through and keep on heading in. And by the way, they are in Kansas City here. And Joel gets out of the truck to kind of scout the area, see what's going on, and he decides that they can get back on the road quick. Ellie, initially thought like, well, how far are we gonna have to backtrack to get around this and get back on the road? Whereas Joel, he is feeling like, no, we can just like go around this tunnel, get on the streets, and then get to the next exit ramp, and then we should be fine. And it should only take minutes to get back on course. I've seen a lot of discussion about this one online as well, where people are saying like, why would Joel do something like this now? Did it seems kind of out of character? Why would he make a decision like this? Whereas to me, I feel like they'd have to backtrack a long ways, right? That's adding a lot of time. One, two, uh, again, gas is a premium in this world, right? Because the gas is bad. So if they're going to have to backtrack and go around another way, is there going to be a lot of cars along the other route? I feel like if they're going through the city here, there's going to be a lot of cars. Maybe that's his thought process is, well, we can get through here a lot faster and stay on the highway, and get back to the highway a lot faster where there's going to be more cars that I can get gas from rather than having to worry about, you know, taking some long detour route and potentially running out of gas and not having another car close by or multiple cars close by that he can get through. So I don't know if that's really what his thought process was, but if you again like are like me and willing to suspend your disbelief about a lot of things to make things work instead of going the opposite way and not suspending your disbelief to just make yourself wonder the whole time, then add that to your head canon so you can feel like, okay, that's probably why Joel made that decision there. Unfortunately, this is Ellie's only her second day in a car, and in a car driving through a city that she's never been in, and trying to read a map. She can't figure out where they are. They're lost. Joel doesn't know exactly where they are either. They're getting frustrated, and then they kind of stop to try to figure out where they are, and then a man comes out. He's like holding his stomach, and he's like, help, help, I need help. And Joel is just like, Ellie, seatbelts on now. And Ellie's like, well, are we going to help this? Aren't we going to help this guy? Joel's like, no. He takes off with the truck. He just guns it. He floors it. They take off. They almost hit that guy. Shoots at him. There's a guy up above him on a building that throws a cinder block down and breaks the windshield. Of course, they have another trap set up where they have spikes on the ground, so the truck drives over the spikes. They start taking fire shots, and Joel, whips it, and then they crash into a building like a laundromat. They get out of the truck. They're using the truck for cover. Joel tells Ellie, "Okay, see that hole in the wall over there? Crawl over to it. Stay low. Get in. I'm gonna cover you. Don't worry. Nobody's gonna hit you." And he says, "Go." So she starts crawling over there, and he starts trading shots with the bandits that are out there. And he hits one of them, and the other one comes running in, and Joel kind of like hides towards the back of the store. So as the second guy comes in, Ellie is just kind of listening through that hole in the wall, and then you hear a gunshot, and then you see that Joel killed the second guy that came in through the front. But then, of course, a guy comes in through the back door. Boom. Thankfully, luckily, Joel is able to hit his shotgun and deflect the aim of his shot, and it doesn't hit him. But Joel gets hit. He's taken down, and this man starts choking him with the gun. And he's like, "Oh, okay, this is it. You're dead. You're gonna pay for what you did." And Ellie's listening to this. You see her take out her knife. She looks like, she's going to go out there with that at first. And then she goes, "Oh, no, I got that gun." She grabs that gun and she goes out there. She looks nervous, by the way, when she's doing this. Again, to me, proving once again, she's not some psycho maniac killer that some people were thinking that she was going to turn out to be. She's nervous here. She's walking slowly up behind, from behind this man, on the ground, choking out Joel. Shoots him in the small of the back, saves Joel's life, and uh, unfortunately, this isn't really like a man. This is like this is a teenage kid, maybe just a little bit older than Ellie, but yeah, he panics right away, right? I mean, he's scared. He's just been shot uh in the back, can't move his legs. He's like begging for his life, like saying, my mom's close by. Please just take me to my mom. I didn't know that you guys were, good people. Trust me. I'll tell everybody you're good people. We can trade together. We can help each other. Um, and yeah, he's obviously there, suffering, just wanting help. Um, Ellie, you could tell she's like kind of shocked by this. You could see it on her face, and you know the guy even asked Ellie her name, and he's like, "I'm Brian. What's your name?" And um, he even takes out a knife, and he's like, "Here, look, see, you can have this knife. It's a good knife." Um, Joel picks it up, and he tells Ellie, um, go back behind the wall. And we see Ellie behind the wall, and we hear Joel finish Brian off with the knife. Obviously, don't want to be using more ammo, I guess, and attracting more attention. So he uses the knife that Brian tried to use as a peace offering and trade offering. He uses that same knife to finish Brian off with. And then we get a little scene here that they were mirroring the video game here, where Joel's like, "Hey, I can't get in from the other side," so Ellie has to, move some stuff out of the doorway so that Joel can get through. And then we skip to a scene where we see, actually, right when. I got to mention this here. So right when Joel gets through here, he kind of gives a look to Ellie, like he knows what just happened was, you know, in it an insane turn of events, right? And that um, it's going to affect Ellie. So he's kind of he's like giving her a worried look, and she just says like, "Oh no, I'm okay. Don't worry. I got food. I got your flashlight. We're all good here." And then uh he's just like, okay, yeah, let's move fast, and let's get out of here. And then we cut to our next scene, where we see a woman, um who turns out to be, this is Kathleen, as we know, questioning a prisoner who says he hasn't seen anybody on this list of names of people that she's looking for. And he's like sorry that her brother was beaten to death, but this has all gone too far. So we know now at this point that Kathleen is looking for these people, and we know that her brother has been beaten to death, and he was beaten to death by Fedra because people on this list ratted their group out. I forgot to mention here, so they're in Kansas City. There was a uh, Fedra quarantine zone here, which looks like it is no longer operating. Seems like this group that Kathleen is in charge of overthrew Fedra potentially, or they just took over the area after Fedra left. But I'm feeling like Kathleen's group here was able to overthrow and defeat Fedra in this city. But unfortunately, Fedra was still, fighting this group, and people in this group gave up names, gave up her brother, and he was, uh, he was taken captured, or taken captive, and then beaten to death. And she is not happy, of course. Um, we also learn in this scene, while she's talking to this prisoner, that he is a doctor. In fact, he's the doctor that was there for her birth, and he's saying that he never told anyone anything about her brother. but she feels that somebody on this list, particularly Henry, did, and that she feels that the doctor knows where Henry is, and she wants that information. Uh, we see the other Brian and the other bandits. Um, they're brought back to Kathleen. They're dead. They're gone. They can't be saved. Um, and she asks, "Well, if if I had a doctor, could a doctor help?" And they say no. These guys, it's too far gone. They can't be helped. Kathleen, again, she didn't get the information out of the doctor she wanted. He didn't think that she would kill him because he's the doctor. And I take that as not only is he her doctor, but he's like the doctor of the group. And that would be very valuable 20 years after a 20 years post apocalyptic event, right? To have a doctor in your group and be able to um, care for the people in your group. I'm sure that'd be very valuable. But again, her anger here is getting the best of her, and she goes back in and kills him after, being told that a doctor's not going to be able to help these people that were killed, anyways. And she also says that at this little discussion that she feels like this again was done by Henry. We know that this was Joel and Ellie, and it just happens to be, happenstance that they were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and now Kathleen feels like, oh, these must be mercenaries that Henry called in, so we got to find everybody, any collaborator, and kill them all. And again, this is another thing I got to mention because Kathleen here, she's acting very erratic, right? She's like threatening this doctor. This doctor, again, like I said, he's probably very valuable, but she goes back and kills him. She's, she's just not looking like she's like a great leader. And that's what I feel like I see a lot of people mentioning online is, well, she doesn't feel like she has all the skills to be the leader of this group. But remember, again, it seems like we're walking in on the middle of something. It sounds like her brother was just killed. She's angry. Remember, this whole series is about love. She probably had a lot of love for her brother, and that love that she had for her brother is coming out, and the grief that she is now experiencing for her brother, who was just beat to death, is coming out in a way where she wants revenge. And yeah, so maybe she's not exactly, acting rationally right now. So I feel like that's where that's coming from. She does seem like a boss. People do seem to listen. So I think she's gotten them as far as they did. Potentially, maybe she was the leader of the group that, took down Fedra in this area. And maybe her brother was a big part of that as well. And now that he's gone, maybe she's feeling a little bit less sure of herself. And again, just the grief of that alone, she's probably not making rash decisions right now. And then, well, we do cut back to Joel and Ellie here, where Joel says or Ellie says well, they're not fireflies, they're not Fedra, and Joel says they're people, they're just people. They're they're hiding in what seems to be like a little business building that they're in right now. And Ellie says that she saw a tall building about 4 blocks away, to which Joel says he saw it too, and that they're going to go that way after they don't hear a truck. And Joel wants to know if Ellie is all right after what happened. Says it's not right because she's just a kid and she shouldn't have had to do what she had to. And he just he doesn't he doesn't really know the words, but he knows that he knows how it feels to do or to hurt somebody for the first time, and that it was his fault and he's sorry. And Ellie says it wasn't her first time. So rather than asking more about it right now, Joel takes that in, takes the gun that she used earlier. Now he gives that to her and actually teaches her the proper grip. Puts it in her hand, shows her how to put one thumb over the other one, and then to and even like shows her example. Like, see, now that you're holding it this way instead of the way that Fedra taught you, the wrong way. Uh, Look what happens when I, grab the gun or grab your hand and start to shake it. You still got good grip on it. Somebody's not going to just walk up to you and steal it out of your hand. And she's pretty tickled by this. She seems pretty happy. Not only is she being, instead of having to uh, sneak around and take that power for herself and do it, behind people's back, she's probably feeling like, oh, hey, like I'm being accepted as being able to handle this by Joel. And Joel, of course, reassures her here that they'll get through this, and Ellie says, "I know." Then we cut back to Kathleen and Perry, who Perry has just said that they have seen or they have found signs of Henry, and and now we know that he is with someone else named Sam, and they found signs of him. So they go up into this attic building. They go up there and they find a bunch of food on the floor, and they find kids' drawings and paintings all over the walls. So now we know, okay, they have Henry, and Kathleen says, or we know that Henry is with a kid, and Kathleen says Henry's not going to let Sam starve, so to double the guards in the area because they're close. Again, this is how irrational Kathleen is being. Henry clearly has a child with him, like a small child, like one that is making like a superhero uh paintings and drawings, little kid level art, and she's still like gung-ho on getting these guys. And then Kathleen wants to know, is that it? Perry is kind of like, no, I got something else to show you. So he takes Kathleen down to like this underground level, I guess, and they go in, and then they see concrete, and it's all like breaking apart, and then it even like starts to move and cave in, and Perry here, he's like, so when are we going to tell the others? And she's like, we're going to tell the others later. For now, seal off the building. We're looking for Henry and Sam. We need to get that done first, and then we'll tell everybody else about whatever is going on here. Then again, we skip back over to Joel and Ellie, who made it to the skyscraper here. Okay, so we know that it was about 4 blocks away. So we know that they moved out of the building that they were in before, and now they're inside. They have to go again. They have to go upstairs. This is how they're going to avoid people, because they were able to see that the group of people out there, they're checking apartment buildings. So they're probably gonna go through apartment buildings first, then they'll go over the smaller business buildings before they like go up all these big skyscrapers, right? So they're gonna try to get up there as high as possible to stay safe as long as possible. And then as they're going up here, Ellie wants to know how Joel knew it was an ambush when that guy was asking for help, to which he says that he's been on both sides of this type of tactic. And, back in those days, they had to do what they did to survive. He did it, his brother did it, Tess did it. That's just what you had to do to survive. And I'm sure, again, remember, he's 20 years into this. I'm sure this worked a lot more in the beginning, whereas now Joel is somebody who's lived in this world for a long time, and he knows what to look for. So he knows that this is a danger to be looking out for. Because I do remember in a line at some point during this episode as well, he does tell Ellie like, "Oh well, you haven't been out in the world, so you don't know." And this is one of the things that he's talking about, that he would know, that Ellie wouldn't know, that yeah, this is the kind of stuff that happens out here, uh, outside of uh, the QZ walls. Um, and then so she wants to know, did you ever kill innocent people? And he doesn't answer and just says, okay, let's keep moving. And of course, we know he must have, and it feels like 20 years after the breakout that a lot of people have killed a lot of innocent people, right? And again, doing what you have to do to survive. For Joel, doing what he has to survive, and also, again, he's the protector, doing what he has to do to keep his family alive. That being, you know, Tommy, and then Tess was added in at some point before, and then it was Tess until she died, and then Tommy went out on his own at some point. We see them. They keep going upstairs. They made it up 33 floors. Joel can't go up anymore. He's an old man. He's 56. All right, that's 33 floors. It was a good amount for him. So they're going to sleep there. Joel starts spreading a whole lot of glass around on the ground, and he explains that he's doing this so that if somebody comes walking through, it's going to make sound. He'll hear it, and he'll wake up and be able to, he'll be able to protect them because he'll hear them coming. They're laying there, getting ready to sleep, and then Joel wants to know what it was, or he wants to know about how it wasn't Ellie's first time hurting someone, and we see the first time here where she doesn't want to talk about something because she does not want to talk about it at this point. And Joel says, still telling her, it's not fair that someone her age has had to hurt people, and so she's just like, well, I mean, does it get easier as you get older then? And he's like, no, it doesn't, but still, you know, it's not right. As a kid, that you have to experience it already. She says that she's noticed that he doesn't hear too good out of his right ear, and wants to know, is that because he got shot at? And he says, no, it's probably more from shooting at people. So it's probably why you don't want to have to shoot too often, because you're gonna lose your hearing as well. And then we see him laying so that his left ear is up as well as he's trying to sleep. And then so they're getting ready to sleep here, and Ellie's like, here she's like, Joel, did you know diarrhea is hereditary? And he's like, huh? And then says, it runs in your genes. And wow, this was an amazing scene. Again, just all the tension that we've been having throughout the rest of this episode. Them being chased, killed, having to kill a guy begging for his life, having a woman, with like a military style group that has overthrown Fedra potentially in this area, looking for them as well, trying to kill them. And now we get this great pun joke that makes Joel laugh, right? And he laughs good. It's that same type of giggle that Bill laughed when he had the strawberry, right? It's just like so elated and happy. He can't help it. He even says like, I must be losing it. And she's like, oh yeah, you're losing it big time. And yeah, they share a good laugh, and that was just really really good to see. And again, they've been traveling together now for a couple of days, long hours in the truck every day. So they looks like walls on both sides are being broke down just a little bit here. They fall asleep, and then unfortunately, Joel must have rolled over at some point because now we see him laying there. His right ear is facing up, the ear that doesn't hear so good, and Ellie is yelling, "Joel, Joel, Joel!" Finally wakes him up. He looks, sees that uh, there's a guy there again. Somebody not doesn't look like that much older than Ellie, holding a gun on Ellie, and then Joel looks over and he's got a little kid pointing a gun at him. Then gives him, puts a finger over his lips, makes this gesture, and that's how we end our episode. Great fun episode again. Great acting. Definitely had to shout out Juan Magana again there, since I forgot to mention him in that first episode for that great acting he did. Just as somebody in this world, who again, like they are saying, you do what you have to survive. So they first see Joel and Ellie. They think these are people that we need to kill and take their supplies because that's what we need for ourselves. And then once he is hurt, going like, okay, no, please have some humanity on me. You guys know that I'm just trying to do what I need to do to survive. I'm sorry. Like, let's work this out. I thought he did an amazing job. Yeah, just a really good episode. A lot of good fun action in this one. Some suspense in here. Again, the Kansas City, 20 years post-apocalyptic event, post-infection. It's looking like really run down. So the setting is really nice. I mean the audio production was really done well in this. Like the guns, like sound. When you hear the gunshot, they sound powerful. It's loud. It's like you're really there. So yeah, good work around this episode in general. And then I can't wait for the next episode, which, by the way, we get early. Super Bowl Sunday is this weekend, so they decided to drop the next episode, episode 5. That's coming on Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern, so be ready for that. I'm going to try to get the video game comparison episode out before then as well, so look out for that. So make sure you're subscribing, following, doing whatever you need to do to make sure that you get these episodes when they come out. All right, again, let me know what you thought of this episode. Did you enjoy it? Obviously it wasn't the emotional highs and lows that we got in episode 3, but what were you thinking of this episode? Let me know. All right, that is going to be the episode. So until next time, endure and survive.